Those nights have the ability to change your life. Now, wait, just hear me out. Those lonely nights aren't as bad as you possibly make them out to be. I promise you, those nights can easily become one of the most memorable moments, emotionally and mentally, for you. Yeah, it sucks. The feeling of dread and loneliness you get when you're laying there alone, whether it's you doing nothing or scrolling through the library of countless games that you have and nothing is clicking, or even if you're stuck doom scrolling on your phone because that's the only thing that can entertain you, there's nearly no way to replicate or sometimes even explain that feeling you get. But there is a way to turn those nights into something truly life changing. This may not work for everyone, but I promise you, it worked for me. Let me start this by saying recently, my ex and I split. It was a long relationship. We even lived together. And without going into details of how things were, it just wasn't working out. I eventually ended things, and needless to say, that was hard on both of us. And actually, after a day or so, I thought I was completely fine with how things were. But at night, I felt everything started to creep back into my mind. The feeling of loneliness, and when I couldn't find enjoyment in anything, it was all coming back again. When it was late at night, I would sit there and all I could do was either scroll on my phone or stare at the ceiling. I would get home from work and do absolutely nothing because nothing could grip me how it used to. Eventually, I would try to settle on a game or maybe a movie, a show, but after a few minutes, I would turn it off. Maybe even just loading into it, I would turn it off. The only time I could find myself enjoying something was when I had friends to entertain me. Just being able to talk to my friends. That was the only thing that could entertain me throughout those times. But there was one night where I was alone. Those feelings were hitting me harder than I ever felt before. I was scrolling on Netflix trying to find something to put on. And eventually I came across this movie called Green Book. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. But basically, here's how the movie is. It's set in the past, and this Italian guy needs a job. Starts working for this guy named Doc Shirley. This was during a heavily racist point of time. Eventually, they bond and grow closer, slowly but surely. It has some heavy philosophical points and deep emotional beats with underlying messages and all that. It's all based on real events and people. If you haven't seen it, again, it's called The Green Book. You should go check it out. I watched this movie that night, and I can honestly say it gave me somewhat of a new outlook on certain things. There's parts where the character, Doc Shirley, has to fight this battle of people saying he isn't good enough, or that he isn't black enough, or he isn't white enough. And there is this internal struggle he has with trying to be good enough. It comes across as if he doesn't fit in with anyone around him. He also struggles with being alone. He struggles with that throughout various points of the movie. And at the end of the movie, he actually is there in his house on Christmas Day. And he sends everyone to go be with their families. And he's left there alone. But he remembers his friend inviting him. And eventually he shows up. Because they became friends throughout their journey and they're almost like family at that point. For certain people going through certain things, this can be something they can resonate with, and they can see someone else struggling through the same things they are. It'll almost be empathetic in a way. I think what really made this movie move me emotionally was at the end when it said and proved that it was based on real events with real people. That made me think about it differently and take my understanding of it to another level. That's really the main point I wanted to talk about in that movie. But it's a really good movie, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go check it out. Again, it's called Green Book. It's on Netflix. Now, that really talks on how just a movie can change your emotional state and your outlook on things just by watching. But it's hard to get yourself to that point. Now, if you're a gamer, you have probably heard of, if you have not played this game I'm talking about, it's Subnautica.
Launch in three, two, one. have suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optimal outcome. This PDA has now rebooted in emergency mode with one directive: to keep you alive on an.
Now you may be wondering, what in the world does Subnautica have to do with anything I'm talking about here? Well, let me tell you. This game continues these messages I'm about to talk about in very subtle and yet not so subtle ways. This game really sits on the premise of being fully alone and completely isolated. Which, if you haven't already, go play the game. Like, what are you doing? It could literally go down as one of the greatest games of all time. But first, let me explain how you got to this planet and ended up alone. Your ship crashed. Everyone died. You're the sole survivor. You're isolated in this ocean styled planet looking for a glimmer of hope. You're really all alone. There's nobody else around, and as you continue to explore the ocean, you realize you're not the only ship that has crashed and come to rest on this planet. As you explore, you will inevitably come across underwater bases and an island being held up by floating aliens. Yes, I kid you not. There's aliens holding up this island. They're called floaters, and it's hilarious. In these bases, you find some PDAs, which is where you get all your lore from. Through the PDAs, you eventually learn of another ship that crashed some time ago, and eventually you learn that they have all suffered the same fate. They drowned, died of sickness, they were even eaten alive. After some time, you learn how to survive in the ocean using the planet's natural resources to build a base, and you finally have a moment to rest. As you sit in your newly constructed base, staring through the glass, you come to realize you really are alone in these waters. Through all the exploring and searching, all you've come across are remains of bases, pieces of the ships that crashed here, an alien life that isn't afraid to put an end to you at a moment's notice. It really makes you feel hopeless, but looking around you at what you've made, you feel a wave of relief come over you, knowing even though you're here all alone, you can still find a way to enjoy and have peace when you're out here around all this death and destruction. As you sit there in your base, you get a message on your radio. It's a ship, your savior, the Sunbeam. They notice your distress call and are on their way. They give you the coordinates of a nearby landmass, and that's where they come to save you. You finally light up, a glimmer of hope that passes through you, and you rush to the meeting spot. Eventually, you realize it's a big mountain. As you start to go around this mountain, you notice a building was hiding behind it, and it looks almost like a skyscraper. You decide to go in it and kill some time before they come and save you. As you go through it, you find data points and artifacts showing there was other highly intelligent life here, but they all fled. They fled because of a mass disease outbreak. You continue to the base to come across a terminal at the end. You use it, and this little needle comes out and stabs you in the arm. It then reads, "Infected individuals may not disable the enforcement system. This planet is under quarantine." At first, you're a little confused, and then your PDA recommends you do a self scan. It states you are infected with some form of bacteria. You then start to remember the alien data you collected, talking about this disease that's killing you, and realize you're doomed to die like the other survivors. As you leave this building, the sunbeam starts to fly in. They're there to save you. The building then lets out this deep and ominous roar and begins shifting and morphing and glowing. Then suddenly, boom, it shoots down your only hope. And again, you're back to being alone and dying. You continue to explore the planet though, finding more and more clues about these aliens and this disease and what happened. Swimming around in these oceans and relaxing in your base gives you a real sense of melancholy. It makes you realize being all alone really isn't so bad. You get to flourish when you put yourself into something. You get to create and explore. You'll give yourself the motivation to do better and to push yourself to new limits. I know this video more or less became a rant on some Nautica story, but playing that game really helped me. It helped me come to peace when I was alone. Playing that game with no music on, just swimming along, exploring and seeing everything, it was very emotionally moving for me. It helped me realize that being alone is never the end of the world. Being alone can actually bring you a sense of peace, depending on how you treat yourself in that specific situation. Sometimes, when you're alone, Maybe the best thing to do is just have those talks with yourself to figure out how you got there in the first place. I'm serious. Just talk to yourself. Try and figure out why you feel that way and what ways you can do to fix that. Basically, what I'm saying with this video is being alone is never the end of the world. You can, in fact, take being alone and turn that depressing moment into a peaceful and melancholic feeling. You can discover things about yourself you've never done before. You can even find new passions. If you enjoyed hearing me rant and want to hear more, maybe even see more gameplay or some other things I may do, like and subscribe. I'm live all the time on my Twitch and post everywhere. My links are in the description. If you have any ideas or videos you want to see me do, let me know in the comments below. And without further ado, I love you guys. And I'll see you next time.